everybody hear me? Okay. Good morning. My name is John Lindberg. If you don't know me, you might have been around for HYPACK about, I don't know, 27 years, something like that. Pretty much like an old piece of furniture, Barca lounger in the corner, grandma's house over there, pretty beat up, but pretty comfortable. I started off in support for a number of years, so that's probably met a lot of you guys over the course of the years. And support manager, and then been a QC manager for about 10 years now. That's probably where I'll end up going, eventually when I decide to retire. But that's not a ways away until I get my kids out of college. So that's a long, painful process right now. I'm probably still on Dublin, Ireland time. I got back with my family on Friday. And so I'm still, 6 hours behind over here and everything. So between that and a little bit of detox from all the Guinness and Jamesons over the past week and everything. So, and of course we can't get away from the cold. We brought the cold down from Connecticut. It feels like, that happens every year. Which was colder, this or last year? Savannah. Savannah was pretty cold, I thought. Especially Gulf was even colder because there was no sun last year. It was all kind of cloudy and everything. But anyway, I'm going to go through some of the stuff that we have coming up in HYPACK 2025. As most of you know, we usually do a general release around January, February. I don't remember the exact date we had last year. It might be up here somewhere. No, I don't see it. It was probably like end of January, beginning of February when we released HYPACK 2024 last year. And of course, every release is available to anybody that's currently enrolled in the maintenance plan. So when you have the maintenance plan, you're entitled to any software updates, support, phone support, email support, and so on. And so it's a really good thing to have in order to keep up to date with the latest, greatest HYPACK stuff. And being a Windows-based software, every time you get an update from Windows, who knows what's going to go on. Of course, you always have your IT group too that's playing around with things and fiddling around with the latest security stuff. So you constantly, pretty much have to stay up to date with HYPACK versions 2 in order to keep everything working in the present operating system. So there's a lot going on there. Anyway, you can download the latest updates from HYPACK.com. You'll see when you go to the support drop-down menu, there's a programs and updates. And our most current version of HYPACK is HYPACK 2024 Q3. We do quarterly updates. We have the main release in January, then we do 3 quarterly updates in April-ish, July, and then October. And we try to keep it a little bit simple that way. We used to have separate executable downloads on our website, but it just got too complicated because there's a lot of programs that feed through other programs and stuff. It gets pretty complicated. So we constantly do these updates. In fact, if you wanted to download, say, the Q3 update, you don't have to do the full install. You can grab a zip file off the website, copy all that information right into your HYPACK 2024 folder, and then you're completely updated. So we'll see the 2025 release coming out. Hopefully the end of this month. Worst case scenario will be sometime in February. That contains, everything is always a cumulative update when it comes to HYPACK. So you can have a 2024 installed and a HYPACK 2025 installed. But 25 also includes the updates that we do over the course of the year from Q1 through Q3. So there's a constant update process of new features, enhancements, bug fixes, and so on. All right. One of the new things that we've added this year is adding OpenStreetMaps. This was done by one of our programmers, Sawmill. He's based up in Ottawa right now. He had been working on this along with Will Bergman, who some of you may know. He's been around longer than me. And OpenStreetMaps is just a real simplistic way of bringing in some sort of a background file into HYPACK. We added a feature of a somewhat complicated version of this early in 2024, and we updated it in I think over the last quarter or so, where it'll add this little dynamic OpenStreetMaps icon under the background files folder in the main HYPACK shell. So basically, just click on that, and wherever your screen is zoomed into, will download those OpenStreetMaps files. So it's a great way to have some sort of background imagery in the main HYPACK program. As you go into Survey, it'll display that in Survey, and any of your editors that, if you choose to show your background files, all that stuff is available. I think we've got everything there checked. Yeah, and just to disable it, it'll just disable it from the screen. And the HYPACK will remember the last setting. So if you're not online, you don't have any type of Wi-Fi or anything, it'll remember the last, it'll download the last imagery, so you can bring that back up into the survey program. There's also this dynamic or OpenStreetMaps widget, excuse me, in the map window in the HYPACK shell. There's a widgets drop-down menu where you can turn on and off your grids, color bar, your north arrow, and everything. You'll see down at the bottom is this Explore OpenStreetMaps item. So you just click on that. It's going to bring up a window like this where you can zoom into anywhere in the world. And you can also use the tool over here, go to position and type in an X, Y, based on your geodesy settings, or latitude to longitude. And it'll zoom into that area. You can zoom in whichever way you want and save that out to a georeference TIFF file. So you can take that and load that into as a background file in HYPACK or any other third-party software. In the HYPACK shell, we also added this add user-defined tools. This is really cool because there's a lot of programs that aren't necessarily in the HYPACK menu structure in the HYPACK shell. And you'll see a couple of them that I'll talk about in a little while. But there's some programs that are somewhat unsupported, or utilities that we kind of not keep away from the general public, but it just gets, sometimes those menu items get a little too unwieldy. So you could add these programs to this the setup over here, and you can right-click on the main icon bar over here, click on Customize, and it's going to list those programs in here. So I can add those to any drop-down menu, or I can add them as an icon in the icon menu. And they don't have to be HYPACK programs. It could be, I don't know, Notepad or something like that you want to have easy access. Maybe another third-party software that you use for some kind of visualization or whatever. You can add that to the menu, just click on that, and you'll have that icon or item displayed either in any drop-down menu within HYPACK or in the one of the icon toolbars. This is kind of one of these items that we added to TIN background files. If you're familiar with our TIN model program, it's our 3D model generating program. You can do some visualization, you can generate contours. It's always had this option to save a .tin file, which is basically a 3D surface. And I don't know, somewhere along the way, somebody said, how come we can't draw those in HYPACK? And it's like, well, geez, yeah, we've only had these TIN files for like 30 years. And we thought it would be a great idea to be able to add a 3D surface. It's a binary file, so it draws a lot quicker than, say, something like XYZ data and so on. So in the TIN model, when you generate your image, you just go into the file, save. It'll save a .tin file, and then you can add that as a background file in HYPACK. You can use your HYPACK colors, the color tables, in order to change the colors of the data that you're seeing on the screen. And then you have a few options. When you go to the TIN file under the background, you can right-click on it, and you get a little menu item like this too, where you can choose your style, whether it's just points or hollow triangles or solid filled based on your color table. So there's quite a few different options in here. We've also added the S102 background files. Geez, S102 has been kind of around for, I don't know, 10, 15 years maybe now, something like that. And it's such a big encyclopedia. I don't know if you younger people know what an encyclopedia is, but anyway, just a huge, you know, thing of information, and we never really knew what to do with it. And we're starting with some of the aspects of the S102 format where we can display the files as a background file, as you see over here. It's obviously still in the works, and as we get more information of what people are interested in, we'll add more features to it. But the basics here are where you can load the file as a background file. You can apply your HYPACK colors as you do with XYZ data, or in the case of the tin models I just showed you. And you can use the HYPACK query tool. It's a little pointer, cursor pointer with a question mark around it. You can use it for your normal ENC charts, S57 charts. And you click anywhere on the screen. And it's going to pop up this little info query tab on the left-hand side. And it's going to list information about that. Right down below is just information about the file. But if I click on this specific cell that I clicked within the map, like over here, it's going to tell you the information about what's in that specific cell. Right-click reorganization. The HYPACK shell has been around in one way or another since around 1999. And as we added right-click items, it just got really unwieldy. But there's a lot of redundant items that are in different, as you right-click on, or they don't pertain to a specific type of file, and so on. So if you look on the left-hand side, you know, this list can get pretty long and really confusing. So we started working on organizing things and just displaying that items that only pertain to specific files or folders. So we did a lot of organizations there. We also added some of the items that kind of pertain to every type of file under the project items options drop down over here. Folder icons, visibility, and disable and enable all files. A lot of that stuff's been in there, but we just kind of clean things up over here. So that just makes things a lot easier. We've been thinking a lot about usability over the years, and you know, we've got a lot of great support people that talk to people, to customers and whatnot about their complaints and so on. And just stuff like this reorganization just makes everybody's life a whole lot easier. We've added some Esri export options in here. So in the example of loading up, I believe this is Esri TIFF file, which contains essentially depth information. You can right-click on that TIFF file. With a TIFF file, you can actually change the colors of that TIFF file based on your HYPACK color bar. And so you have a few options in here where you right-click on that TIFF file. You've got the export to XYZ, where it'll just basically take all those pixels and export it to a pretty big or sizable XYZ file. But you know, it was a customer request, but we've added it in the program anyway. And also you could export that to a matrix file, color-filled matrix that you could say perhaps bring into HYPACK or use for a multi-beam survey. Geodetic parameters, we've been toying a lot with geodetic parameters, and we've got a lot of changes that we'll probably be doing over the course of the year. But we've been doing a bit of stuff. I didn't write it down up here, but with the when you're using a datum shift file, you used to have to click on the browse button and search for the proper LLS file, which can be a little tedious. We simply added a drop-down menu here, which just loads the LLS, and Australia has an option to use a GSB file. I think some other countries, especially when they're doing the time variable transformation kind of stuff, will have GSB format files too. And it's just a simple drop-down menu. I can click on the X and get rid of it rather than have to just kind of wipe out if I'm not using a data transformation file. And we try to associate, for example, if you're working on a UK grid, it'll load up the OSGB file automatically. If you're working in NAD27, it'll load up the ConUS. It'll list the LLS files specific to the United States, the Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and so on. We'll list those files. So just to make life a little bit easier. But one thing I mentioned, didn't mention or didn't write here too is that we've been trying to correlate the EPSG stuff that we introduced, what, a year ago, 2 years ago now? And kind of get that and our normal HYPACK predefined background grids a bit more consistent. A lot of other softwares are using a lot of the third-party geodesy engines, and we may move towards that in the future, just to make it a lot more, I don't want to say simple, because the geodesy program is quite simple, but in order to make it more compatible with other software programs, especially the ones that we're working with in conjunction with. HYPACK survey, this dredge pack, they're basically the same program, same executable. The left-right indicator has been a bit of a source of confusion ever since we came out with our codename RAD survey a few years back. Great program. It's the big complaint was that people could not see this little gray arrow in the left-right indicator. You can see it at the top left over here. So we added a whole bunch of options for the left-right indicator. For changing the arrow to a solid block, which I believe is the way it was in our original survey program. Well, not original survey, but survey from 5 years ago. We call it classic survey now. So you get a nice black colored arrow here. It makes it a lot easier to see the location of the arrow on the left-right indicator. And you can increase or decrease the thickness of those. And then you have the two styles. You can go back if you really like that arrow style. We put that. That's available too. So you have a couple options. Device drivers. We're constantly updating different device drivers. This is just a sample of them. GPS DLL. Most of you are familiar with standard NMEA strings that we could read. We had an option. Ignore ZDA date in there because some of the older GPSs, as they're getting older, you know, the internal batteries are dying and it messes up the internal clock and everything. And if you're time syncing, your computer clock gets totally messed up. So we put an option in there for that. I think we did a few other things in there too, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. The POSMB DLL. We took out the group 1 message a few years ago, and then there was a complaint that, because we don't really use it for multi-beam, but certain, the way I understand it, you probably want to talk to the POS people, but I think some of the systems that don't have a few of the options like heave, I think some of the aerial type systems don't have group 102, they have group 1. So we put that in to appease a lot of the folks that are using you know, drones and so on, for that kind of thing. Orion is basically a pipe, I think a pipe searching device driver. We've added, I think John Marin usually did this in Orion 2 for a customer. So it's basically a new driver that works with newer formats from the Orion systems. So that's a brand new driver. Subbot is our sub-bottom driver. Got a drop down that you could go in there and select all the different choices of sub-bottoms that we interface with, whether it's analog or a few of the other systems up there. We've added support for the Acoustics GeoPulse compact sub-bottom in there now too. So we're working with that. Spectral AI DLL is a new driver also. And it reads the Klein Spectral AI targets. They have this pretty cool program that it's an AI program that you load your Klein Sidescan data in there, and it finds all the different targets and saves them out to, I believe it's a JSON file, along with georeferenced TIFF files. And basically, the Spectral AI DLL points to that folder. As that folder gets updated with new JSON and TIFF files, bam, it marks a target right in the survey program, shows the position of that target. Pretty cool. The Mavlink DLL, that driver's been completely reworked, updated. It's got a drop down now to select the manufacturer. The Mavlink format, I believe, is pretty open, and a lot of people have their own flavors of that, as you would like a DXF file or some of the other format type files. So We have that. And then we have a bunch of DredgePack drivers here that have been worked on. The cut fill DLL for anybody that uses that with a dredge crane or what have you. We've added an option to choose the tide source. Sometimes the tide, depending on the mobile that you have selected, you might not getting the proper tide value coming into that specific mobile. So you can go in there and select the tide source. Mobile Connect is kind of a neat little driver. It just basically creates a line between two mobiles. So if you're looking at you got a cutter dredge, and you've got the ladder, it just basically creates a straight line between the dredge, the hull, and the point. And you can increase or decrease. It's basically a rectangle that increase or decrease the size. Rectangle or trapezoid or whatever. But we've added a few options in there to change the transparency of that and the outline and fill colors. So that's been updated. That's an old driver that we've had for a long time that hasn't been touched. We did some updates for some customers on that. Excavator driver, excavator DLL, added the smooth channel option. When it's enabled, it calculates and draws straight line segments instead of step. What it does, it loads up a HYPACK matrix file, and as you know, a lot of people that use DredgePack and a HYPACK matrix, they're cells, usually 2x2 or 1x1 cells or so. And if you did a cross section of a DredgePack cell, you would get sort of a stair step. Looks kind of ugly and kind of confusing when you're looking at a profile in DredgePack. So it basically smooths out that. Just gives a better visual aspect of loading up the matrix. Hopper DQM sender, used on a lot of hopper dredges, and DQM mechanical has this CD17 interface too. So a few device drivers that have been updated for DredgePack. I mentioned about programs that are not widely known. They're not in the HYPACK menu structure. One is this input echo, and I suppose we should add it because we're going to find it of interest a lot more than some of the other systems. But the idea of this was when we were working with payloads is that the input from the IMU was just one USB cable, and there was no way to split the motion between, say, HYPACK survey and HYSWEEP survey. So this program basically takes the input, whether it's a network or serial port. USB port is typically designated as a COM port, and allows you to split amongst different other items. You might want to send it out to another device, maybe another data collection system or autopilot or something. So it was basically a really simple program. We've added a lot more output options in here, so you can split like one single serial or a serial or USB data string and send it out to multiple outputs, whether it's serial, network, recording to a file, and some of the IMU systems now with the delayed heave or the post-process stuff are not able to collect that data in their software anymore. They're updating things, so they're expecting the hydrographic software to be able to do this now. So you run this program, connect to your IMU, have it record to a data file, and it'll save that data in pretty big binary file that you can take in, whether you're using for true heave or input in true heave, delayed heave, or using it in your post-process for PPK export and so on. So kind of a neat little tool, and we'll find this. I think a lot of you will find this useful if you're doing that sort of processing. So we'll probably make more changes as people get used to using it, and anything that would make things simpler for the customer. HYSWEEP survey now has a dredge mode. This has become popular. This is going to be one of the presentations, I believe, on HYSWEEP being run in DredgePack. So there's a dredge mode here that essentially paints the DredgePack matrix. We've also added a invert depths option to the matrix options menu here too. You're working in elevation mode, just makes it a lot easier to view the data properly. HYSWEEP survey, we've also added an we've added this, I think last year, the auto scale profile, which is really cool, but the problem is that it was always set to a minimum of a 0 depth, and it would basically update according to the maximum depth. So you might have your profile way down here, you know, so now it basically just wherever you zoom into will retain that on the screen. So you just get a better look at it. It only works, let me see, the minimum depth, is the 0 depth remains locked at 0 for the beam pattern and wavefront displays. But if you're looking at the sounding points or the sweep profile, as we see over here, you can zoom right into that in the profile window, and it looks pretty good. Real-time cloud, we added a bunch of different target displays. So as you mark targets in real-time cloud, you got a few different choices of target styles. You just go to the settings, go to the target drop down here, and you've got a few choices here. Cylinder, kind of your standard circle targets, point object, flag, and the SBMax style looks sort of like a 3D circle target with a line straight down below. We also added in real-time cloud water column display. So you have the water column enabled in HYSWEEP. You can get that water column view. Great image here, but this is kind of a demo that we did on the screen. But you'll get that water column display as you're seeing your 3D point imagery in the real-time cloud program. So to enable that, you just go enable the water column in HYSWEEP, and then go to the settings and check the box here for water column display. It'll display that in real time cloud. We keep updating SBMax 64. A lot of folks are still using the 32-bit program. And we're slowly adding some of the features that were in the 32, and eventually we'll sunset that program. But SBMax 64 has a few more options. We keep adding more options to that. One is really convenient, and I don't know why I just never thought about it. This checkbox for hide deleted soundings. When you delete soundings, they're not deleted from the data. They're just marked as deleted. And in the spreadsheet, you would always get these little asterisks. Cottonmouth, so it's hard to say asterisks. But when you're exporting that out to a spreadsheet or a text file, you end up with a lot of the lines like that. And if you're deleting a lot of points, especially if you're doing like a pre-sort type thing, you're going to there's just going to be a lot of this that just makes it, again, a little bit more unwieldy. So if you check the box, it just removes anything that had been in the display. It's not doing anything to the data. It's just changing the display. So if you want to export that to a text file, it's just a little bit cleaner. Offline statistics window. This was added from SBMax 32, and nice little program to give you some basic offline stats. And the problem was, I think, it's still the same in SBMax 32, but it would include both depth 1 and depth 2 if you got a dual frequency echo sounder. So now you have a choice of getting the stats for depth 1, depth 2, or both if you want, especially if you have your transducers offset from one another. The echogram window has a new export dialog here, so you can export the samples or as far as an ASCII text file, or imagery, which is a JPEG file. You can go in, select the depth, whether it's depth 1 or depth 2, and then the current line or all lines. So all that information is available there. And then we added a Z multiplier in the Save Survey window. Somebody had asked for that. We have a similar option in SBMax or whatever, and the question is, why is it not in SBMax? So we added it there too. SB selection is a nice tool where you can go in and select points based on distance or inflection points of your single beam data. Been around for a while. The latest iteration of the pre-sort in SBMax 64 basically does the same thing, but this is a nice little visual tool, and this had been a request from a couple customers over the course of the year. So we have these start and end gates where you can filter the data at the beginning or the end of the file in case you're outside of your channel. You just want to remove that information and then have it sort based on distance from that point. And then you also have an option in here to include the first and or last point, regardless of what your filter distance is in SB selection. SBMax 64, our multi-beam editor. If you're using a Kongsberg system, you're collecting KML or all files, you can now recalculate the RTK tides based on whatever your geodetic parameters settings are. So you set your geodesy, load up these files, it's going to automatically convert everything based on your geodetic settings. We also changed the update filter preview button under the search and filter options. It's just been changed to update. I forget what it said before, but it was really a source of confusion. Either people didn't click it, or just makes it a lot easier to use. And then there's a checkbox that's been in HYPACK for a while. Apply grid conversions, just depending on where you're located in the world, with the difference between magnetic and true heading. It can affect your data in terms of doing your patch tests and everything. So now by default that is checked in HYPACK. So long as you weren't in your current project or whatever, the settings in your current project will retain what were there before. But if you start a brand new project, by default the grid conversions will be checked. And one of the latest things in HYSCAN, our Sidescan targeting mosaicing program, segmentation. What is segmentation? I don't know, but it sounds cool. No, it's basically allows grouping or contouring of areas, almost like a depth contouring, but basically using the intensity values in Sidescan files. So the idea is that you can group these areas, contour, and then determine bottom type classifications. We're doing a few options in here. This is still in the works. You can export, create an XYZ or DXF file. The layer labels appear in the shell, and we're going to modify the color bar so where you can just choose a color and give it a name, sand, silt, hard rock, and so on. So that'll be, hopefully make it into the 2025 release. Talked about the Klein spectral AI import. Talk to the Klein guys here if you have an interest in this too. But we can take those spectral AI targets if they weren't marked in survey and import them directly into our target editor. So you open up the target editor, it's under preparation editors, go to File, Import, and click on Klein Spectral AI. You load up these JSON files, and it just imports those right into the HYPACK target database. If it's got the associated TIFF files, it's going to load that imagery into the database as well. Absolute Ocean Integrator. We've been working with TerraDepth and their Absolute Ocean platform. Again, this is still a work in progress, but it's available now in 2025. You go into the utilities, file work, and click on Absolute Ocean Integrator. And basically what it's doing is allows you to import the data to and from their cloud-based system right from your current project. So nice little tool. They'll be talking about that in one of the sessions next couple days. So you'll get a lot more information. A lot of these new features you'll catch in a lot of the presentations over the course of the next few days. HYPACK is our latest iteration of HYPACK. We've had the HYPACK program is still quite widely used, but the HYPACK allows you to have multiple maps on one sheet. And one feature we did is the option to where you click on whatever sheet you want, choose the items that are enabled, and then just right click and zoom extents of that. So if you're really fine tuning your plot and you can't quite see what that LNW file looks like, you can right click on the LNW file in the list here, zoom extents. Yeah, I think I need to adjust the text height or something like that, so I can do that without causing any other issues or causing any zooming problems. So. Tin model. We added the single beam depths option in the initial data window. I think we've always had the choice of depth 1 or depth 2 when you're loading in all format data or edited single beam data. You could choose high frequency or low frequency. But the issue was with systems like the Sontec M9 where you've got multiple frequencies. Like usually you have 5 different values coming in the file. So we have the option here to choose all depths. Or in the case of some of the dual frequency systems where it's the same echo sounder might have the same frequency, but the transducers are offset, or a multi-transducer system. Now you can click on all depths and it's going to load up the data properly. More utilities. The Geodetic list conversion program, a nice little tool. If you have a big ASCII file that you want to convert from whatever, latitude, longitude, XYZ, you might want to convert from feet to meters. I use this program all the time. It's a really cool little tool. But we added a bunch of depth inversion options here to the other drop-down menu. So you can invert from meters to feet to meters, or just to invert the depth. And then the HYPACK data converter, we did some changes for the EdgeTech GSF format files, particularly working with stuff when using underwater, autonomous system where there is a draft value. We're not talking RTK tides, we're talking underwater. So you have the checkbox here. If you check on towfish, it treats that height as a draft and places it in the proper place. We've also added some S7K, uses extra detections available. S7K is the RESON format, Norbit format. And also a checkbox now for downsampling. We had some issues where somebody was trying to import some data and it wasn't properly drawing. It was because of the downsampling that we're using. The old HYSCAN doesn't, I think, only loads downsampled data. So now, if you're not downsampling, you use the new HYSCAN beta, which can handle all that data, and you get a nice proper imagery there. And ADCP profile. Added a save to XYZ option under the file drop-down menu, so the user can now directly output XYZ bathymetry data from all format files, ADCP files, Sontec, and so on. And you choose your depth reference, whether it's the bottom track or vertical depth, like typically B5 on, say, M9 or so on. So a little bit of everything, a little bit for everybody here, something. As we do releases too, you'll find there's a documentation folder that gets updated with every release. And you'll see a whole bunch of things in there. We typically have some items like let's see, Sidescan or HYSWEEP interfacing, which we constantly update for any changes to the multi-beam or Sidescan systems. There's a common drivers PDF file for all the common HYPACK devices. You'll find a lot of information up here. And then information about the current updates. We still retain the older updates, so we have a nice document that Caroline formats. And then I have one that I update with basically a spreadsheet export that lists all the programs that have been updated, the versions, and all the information that's available. And of course, we have our Sounding Better newsletter that comes out quarterly. Go to HYPACK.com and you go to About HYPACK. You'll see the Sounding Better newsletter option over here. List a lot of great information regarding the updates that have been added for that quarter, some tips and tricks, and a lot of sales information about shows and so on. So all that stuff is available. And then you'll find all the archived newsletters here. You can do a search for them too if you're looking for specific information about something that might not be in the current version. So a lot of cool stuff up here. And that's pretty much what I have for the new stuff. Enjoy the rest of the show, and I'll spare you from the Jimmy Buffett karaoke.